Okay, so I think we should be live. It says we are live. So if anyone's here, hello.
Hello, everyone.
At this point, it just feels like you're talking into the void.
I know. But we've got one comment already. Someone said, so excited for this one, Christine.
Oh, I have
Thank
multiple
you.
tabs on the side. Ha.
You can pull them up as well.
Yeah, I noticed. I was like, what's happening? So,
Right. So we're a bit of a smaller crowd because Zoe and Sasha couldn't make it, but it's okay. We'll get their thoughts in like the next live show we do. So they can tell us what they thought. Because I'm very curious about Sasha because she's never read it before.
no, exactly. I was so excited to hear what the
I know.
read it before we're thinking.
Exactly.
Hi,
We're
everyone.
curious, your first time as well, right? So,
yes, it is.
Okay, good. Yeah. We get some.
I'm kind of glad like I read Strange the Dreamer first because it gives me like a better feel for like Lanny Taylor's like overall like writing style. So I do have thoughts.
Okay, good.
Did you also read Strange the Dreamer, Gabby?
Yes, just like a month ago, and
Right.
I loved it. It was so good. Okay. Everyone's hi everyone, hello, excited. Well, good.
There's people here. Such a relief.
I know. All right. Well, do we wanna kick it off and just say what we thought and maybe our rating, and then I guess we can just discuss kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, you already know my thoughts. I mean, this is my gazillionth reread of the series. I honestly don't know how many times I've read it. I do have to say I read it a bit more critically now, and I still gave it 5 stars, but it's kind of like 4.5 or 75 because there were like a few small things that bothered me, but just for nostalgia's sake, I'm not going to change my rating to 4 because I didn't hate it or anything.
So, yeah. Okay, I'll go next, and then Kira can like tell us her thoughts because it's more exciting. So it was only my second reread. So I read it 3-4 years ago, I guess, and I gave it 4 stars then, and I kept my 4 stars. I think it totally holds up. I still really, really enjoyed it, but like you said, there may be a couple of things that I'm like, huh. And I remember like very intensely loving the series, but I think it was second and third book that I loved more. At least from what I remember. Also, I remembered literally nothing about this. My memory's so bad, so it kind of felt like I was reading for the first time. Yeah. So, yeah, I still really, really enjoyed it. I think it totally holds up.
So, okay, so one of my first thoughts, like, regarding, like, this book was, like, that Lanny Taylor has a much, like, this was much, like, faster flowed than Strange the Dreamer was, no doubt about it. But like, and there's definitely like more storyline, like it covers like a larger base of storyline, but I always feel like she like in her steadiness of her plot like packs a real punch like when she's discussing things, because like there's so much substance and so much poetry like to the things that she's discussing inside her books. So that was kind of like my first thought, like after like I got finished with this. Now my second thought was like that, of course, like I've been very like slumpy like the last like 3 months, like I've been really slumping like very hard, but in spite of my slump, like I still found the story like very intriguing. I really enjoyed like the main character. I thought like that the overall world building was very well done, considering the fact like that, I mean, it's the first book, we're obviously getting set up for more in the second too, but overall I think I probably would have rated it like about a 4.5. I think that's probably going to be like where I put myself on this.
I'm so relieved because for a second when you started, I was like, oh my god, she hated it.
I felt bad. I was like, oh,
very disappointed or something. You just sounded like, well, and then negative stuff, but it wasn't. So I'm so relieved.
Well, okay, so like, yes, it does sound like very negative, like, but like I always like I swear to God, like the more I read, like the more like I get critical like about what I'm reading. And so like I put it like in context like of being like overall like, well, like how did I feel about this? Like how's this like in relation to the other stuff that I read, you know, like how's like this like in relation like to, you know, like the progression and everything else. So yes, like it probably did sound like a little bit worse, but overall like I thought like that it was very well developed. So
I know what you mean, because like when I first read it, it was like 4 years ago, and back then was what, like 19, 18. So and I just read like so much YA and like everything. I just like consumed books. So it was definitely a different experience. And this time I knew we would be discussing it, and I knew I have already preconceived notions of what it's about. So I was like way more like critical. And actually, if you see Hannah in the comments, she had some very interesting points. Maybe we'll touch upon later, about like the word and the implications, and that just made me think even more critically about what we're reading. So definitely, as older as you get and read more books, you get a bit more critical. But at the same time, I feel you, MK, on the nostalgia, because I was like, oh, but it's the characters I love and the word I love. So it was like
Yeah.
a bit of a.
So I think maybe we should also say, I mean, I suppose we'll also be talking about spoilers here. So for anyone watching who doesn't want spoilers, this might not be the right video for you at this point. I mean, I don't want anyone to leave, but I don't think we're going to keep this spoiler free. So I think it should be said, right? But yeah, I mean, I read it the first time I read it, 2011 or 2012. I'm not sure when exactly in the year it came out, but it was like the first summer after it came out. So that's either 2011, 2012. And that's like 9 years ago. So I was 14, 15, 16. I don't know how old I was. Somewhere around that age. So it was such a different experience to reading it now. I mean, obviously, having read way more in general, I'm more critical of everything. But I mean, for me personally, still like the surprise of the book, I suppose, like the punches it packs, they still hit, despite the fact that I know what's going to happen. So yeah, that's also just part of what I love about Lainey's books. I don't know. I'm biased, but I love them. And I know I'm biased, but
So I feel like Lanny Taylor's books, like you read them, like if you enjoy art, I feel like you're going to like enjoy Lanny Taylor's books. Like, I mean, if you appreciate art, because I feel like a lot of times like her books are very artistically like done. Like this world like was so artistic, like in the approach, in the construction. Also, like, I mean, I feel like she always gives us just a slice of something completely different too. Like, it's just, that's like one of the reasons like why I really appreciate her work. But I feel like that this was like no different from like, you know, Stranger Dreamer in terms of like the different like atmosphere you get, like as far as reading her stuff versus like reading another author's.
Yeah, I just feel like she has a very whimsical, I think, style. Like she has that, I don't even know how to really describe it, but she has that kind of style that's so unique, I think. And I mean, I definitely also see why some people wouldn't love her writing. I mean, it's very flowery, and that's something that you have to enjoy it, otherwise you're going to hate it, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, for me personally, it just gives it that something extra, that special feeling, I suppose.
Yeah, I think especially when you read Strange the Dreamer, like it's all turned up to 11, like the whimsical writing, the whimsical world, the like flowerings of it, whimsy, you know, all of that. It's like turned up to 11, and I really love that, and I'm super excited to see what she does with the next book she's writing, because I first read Daughter of Smoke and Smoke first, then Strange the Dreamer. So like I expected it to be good, but then it was so good. I was just like blown out of the way, blown out of the water. And you said something like it's not what you expect, and I think that's very true. Like I feel like she will introduce a trope and then kind of like subvert it. Even like insta love. Like at first, I remember reading this the first time, and I was like, why are they falling for each other so quickly? Like, it's ridiculous. And then you find out, right? You find out the star-crossed lovers thing, and it's still really quick. Like he sees her once, and he's obsessed for 2 years. So like, it's still quick, but you get that like, okay, it's star-crossed lovers. It's supposed to be like this like destiny thing, and it just all makes sense. And then when you first read it, you maybe don't see it as much, but there's actually so much foreshadowing in this book when you do know what's gonna happen. It's just like this line and this line, even when she's like, she feels like she's not full person and she's incomplete, and you think, oh, she's just an angsty teenager, and then you know that she's not just an angsty teenager, she's literally like missing a whole line. it's just like, wow.
Yeah, the insta love thing. I was also going to talk about that at some point. When the conversation came up, like I don't necessarily hate insta love, but mostly I do. But like for this, there's a reason for the insta love, and I think that's why I still like it in this case, with like their entire history and Madrigal and Akiva and everything. It's just
Yeah, even tropes like that get used like over and over and over again can be made new depending on how they're presented. And I think like how she did that with this, like, I definitely agree. Like the insta love was definitely the feeling like I got at the beginning, and I'm kind of like, okay, where's she going with this? Because I'm not convinced. I'm convinced like that there's more to it than that.
Yeah.
I was very skeptical like at the beginning because like I didn't feel like that they would have just like ran into each other, and like given like the angels I'm so terrible with names, but given like the angels like history, like with everything like that, like he was talking about, I was just like, okay, there's like, he wouldn't just fall in love with anyone. So I was very skeptical, like especially at the beginning.
Yeah, I definitely get that. I still remember like the first time I read it, I was so confused until they basically broke the wishbone. And then it was just like light bulb after light bulb after light bulb. Everything just suddenly made sense. And also like the stuff they were doing with the teeth and why she wasn't allowed to go through the other door and those kinds of things. And it was just like whoosh.
Yeah, I think you're supposed to be kind of skeptical in the beginning, because you're like, even the characters are like, why am I so obsessed? What's wrong with me, kind of thing. And they're supposed to be enemies, right? And then you're like, oh, it all makes sense. So I guess you go through it with characters a little bit.
Yeah.
This has got like to me like this kind of had like a little bit of like Romeo and Juliet vibes, like because like they were on opposite sides. So I was kind of digging that, because like that was like my very first like Shakespeare play, and I've always had a soft spot for Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, I think my obsession for enemies to lovers came from this book. Pretty much.
Yes.
Yeah. Someone in the comments said, they said like, what's your favorite in the book? What's everyone's favorite in the book? So
this one?
Yes. So I'm not sure. Just like a favorite thing in the book, or can you clarify?
Or is it like the favorite book in the series, or?
Okay, it might take a second because the
comments
are a bit delayed.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and say what did bother me a little bit this time, even though I knew what was happening, was that like the fact that Akiva is like 50 or something, and Karoo is 17 in this book, and he's just immediately obsessed. I was just, with the whole age thing and Edward and Bella, that kind of thing. I was just a little bit iffy because like he doesn't know, so I'm like, me. Kind of. I mean, I don't really know how to articulate this very well, but it felt a little bit iffy. Like, even though I know the reason and everything.
Is he only 50? I thought he was like 100.
I think they were like 50.
Oh, okay.
I think. I mean, I could definitely be mistaken, even though I've read it like tons of times. But
well, I guess it's, like, it's one of those, he doesn't age because he's like this magical creature, which I get you, that feels a bit weird when you think about it too hard. It's like same with Edward and Bella, and I was just reading Rhapsodic, which is like
Laura
fantasy romance.
Oh yeah, I read that.
Yeah,
I read the first one.
And I was like, I'm getting grooming vibes because she's like 16 years old and he's like really old, and it's like important to acknowledge, of course, but I think just because it's like fantasy and we can be like, of course it's wrong. So that's, I guess in my head, I'm only thinking to myself, of course it's wrong in real life, but I can imagine, like, forgive it because he's an angel and, that kind of thing. But I know what you mean. Like,
I don't necessarily mean it's something like, I mean, I understand kind of why, because of course they're star-crossed lovers and their souls recognize each other and that kind of thing. But still, I feel like as someone who is 50, who has lived 50 years, or maybe even more, if he is indeed 100 or 150, maybe he should.
He's 50, so I was wrong.
Oh, well, like, maybe he should be thinking, why am I pursuing a teenager? And maybe I shouldn't. I just kind of feel like that maybe should be a thing.
Yeah. It's definitely something I thought way more than what I did when I was like 18. I was like, yeah, sure, that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, this time around, especially also knowing that we were going to discuss it, I was a little bit more critical. But like I said, this wasn't enough to, entirely knock off Stars, but it got me thinking like, maybe not so cool.
Yeah. Well, I assume he also doesn't age properly because it was like, 17 years, and I assume didn't change at all, kind of thing, since they were like together.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether they age or not, actually.
Like, I think not, because isn't there like another like father, and he's like hundreds of years old? Isn't there something?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
So, that brings up kind of an interesting point that I was really confused on. So, Chimera?
Yeah.
Like, are they immortal if they're not changing bodies? Because, Brimstone, he was like a slave before they overthrew the angels. But wasn't that like 10,000 years ago or something? Or like crazy like amount of time? Or am I crazy? There was like an exact amount of time, but I don't remember. But it was a lot of years, like more than a lifetime. So I'm just wondering if Chimera like really, really, really ancient, even if they don't die and resurrect, or like
sure,
maybe someone has an answer.
Like Brimstone, it was still his first body. It sounds so weird to say, but like he was still in his first body, and I know that was like something special, but he didn't age. But I'm also not sure how long ago it was. I don't think it was 10,000 years. It was definitely a long time, but I'm not sure how long ago it was. But then again, like there are Chimera children, and those do grow up. So then that leads me to wonder, like, do they stop aging when they're like 20-ish or something? But I'm not. I don't think that's really addressed. At least not in the first book. I don't think it's in the second and third either. But obviously we're.
Yeah, because I was just like, am I missing something? Like, I was just wondering if maybe someone said it and like I was not paying attention. It's just because. Oh, Anne said Brimstone is a sorcerer, though maybe it's because of that. Might be. I guess let's keep an eye out in the other books, see if it says anything.
And again, there's also the Warlord, who's Thiago's father, who's also still on his first body. No, but they age, because I remember that they said about the Warlord that he was actually as old as he looked, or he looked as old as he was. Something along those lines. So I think
he was like a really old, like really old. Like 500 years or something.
I mean, they do age, but very
what does slowly. A 500-year-old look like? Yeah, makes sense, I think.
Mummified, dried out husk.
I feel like the aspect like was more about like the emulation like of souls and transcendence of souls, especially like when they were starting to talk like about like the processes like they went through like to recreate individuals like in this. So I wonder like if it maybe like it wasn't so much like about like them being immortal, but like more about like them being able to transcend death.
Sure, maybe. I'm not sure. I mean, like I said, I do remember the Warlord aging.
Yeah.
He was on his first body and he was very old and he looked the part. I remember them saying something along those lines.
But yeah, I think they said that he stopped taking lovers because it was a bit like iffy at that point or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, imagine that. But going back to the question, Monique answered, and she meant like, what's everyone's favorite part in the book?
Okay, well, I really liked the part, when he sees the wishbone on the bridge, and he like falls to his knees and like just sobs. I thought that was really like touching, because here's this warrior that's like supposed to be invincible, all of that, and he's just like freaking sobbing in the middle of the street because like how much he loves her. So and then Karu's like, the fuck, like what's even happening? And because she has no clue still. And so I think I really like that one. And any scene with Susanna and Karu are my favorite.
Yeah, Susanna is great. I mean, she's awesome. I think as horrible as it is, I think for me it's actually the part where Madrigal has just died and she kind of like inhabits, I don't know her name's body, kind of like
The
revenge.
sister, yeah.
Which I don't remember her name, but I mean that's a favorite part. I mean I love the book, so but that's just the one thing that I just remembered when this question was asked. So I'm just going with that.
Right. Sorry, the sister's name is Cairo. Kiro?
Cairo.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Chiro.
Yeah, I think Cairo. Probably.
Yeah. I forgot that part that she like basically body snatched her, and I was like, and when Brimstone was like, "Oh, she's like a wet moss, easily pushed
She's
aside,"
weak.
I was like, "Oh my
Yeah.
god!"
Yeah.
I really liked the part like where they broke the wishbone, because like everything like that, you know, like you were thinking like leading up to that point started to like get really like come to life, and you got to be like a part, like that's like where the fantasy started really coming in.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, so this is like what I've waited this whole book for, to see like this glimpse like into this other world. So I love like the fact that we got like kind of like an origin story, and like how everything got started, because they alluded to it up until that point, but it was nice to see it actually play out.
Yeah, that reminds me of the tagline that is still my favorite ever. Like, once upon a time, an angel and a devil fell in love. It did not end well. That's like understatement of the century, I think. But
yeah, that was really good.
Yeah.
I really like how that she did that whole sequence. Like, I like that we weren't just like chronologically going through the events, but it was like, oh, we're dropped into the ball scene, then we're dropped into this, then we're dropped into the training, then we're back to the present, then we're dropped into something else. It was just like, what's happening?
Yeah.
But I really like conveyed this whole story really well, and how Karou is so overwhelmed with all these memories, and like just remembering your whole life. Like, I thought that was very, very interesting how she did that, because she could have easily just been like, oh, now we're back to the present, we're going like, you know, linear. We're going one by one what's happened, but she didn't, and I thought it was really cool. Also, someone, Lala Loves Lit, said one of my fave parts is just them chilling on top of a cathedral eating bread, like talk about a first date. And I love that comment, and I agree with that comment, because that was a cool scene.
There it is. Sorry, I was just trying to find it.
No worries.
Yeah,
I love that scene. I think it was just nice seeing them like bond a little, like the whole day they have together when they're like chill with Susanna and Meek and just like kind of hang out. And I thought it was like such a beautiful calm before the storm, because you know something's gonna take off, and it really does. And they never really have a normal time after that, because she finds out that it was his like doing that the Chimera got killed or whatever, and the doors. So they never get that after she knows who she is. So I like that they had this whole day to just kind of hang out and like see Susanna's show and all that. It was really fun.
yeah, and also just that final line that like they're dead, they're all dead. I was just, like every single time I'm just sitting there like no, like even though I just know it's going to happen, it's just it always has me crying.
Yeah, but to be fair, it took him 17 years to get that done. I was like, what's taking you so long? How like determined were you if it took you 17 years? Like, you just burned some doors. But I guess they couldn't go to Earth at first, because the Chimera kept saying that they find a way. So maybe it's gonna be explained a little bit more. But I did think like took you.
Yeah, I think it will. Like from what I remember, because we're also going to see more of Eretz. I think that's how you pronounce it. Elsewhere, Eretz, whatever you want to call it. We're going to see a lot more in the second and third book. So I think that'll be addressed, but also because of like the doorway, I suppose, the portal that Rosgood, I think.
Yeah.
Still remembers and everything. So I mean, pretty sure there's more.
Yeah, I'm sure we're gonna get into it, because we're also gonna like spend more time with Angel. I think just like his siblings, from what I remember vaguely.
Yeah. Misael is one of my favorites.
Do you want to talk about our favorite characters? Then we can talk about our most hated characters.
Sure.
Okay, so who's your favorite?
I honestly don't know. Probably Susanna. But just because, like, Susanna's my spirit animal, I think.
Yeah, I really like Susanna. I think she's just such a great friend character, and I feel like in a lot of a YA kind of type, it goes like, oh, she'd be like, oh, whatever, just leave me then and like go away. But she like stuck around for her friend, but she also didn't let Karu just like lie all the time. She just let her, like, she told her like, you need to tell me what's happening, and then she kept saying, and like, I remember like she's quite involved later on as well. So it's just, I like that she's not just pushed away. But like a friend's still important, even though you got a boyfriend.
Still incorporated into the story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think my favorite character is definitely Brimstone. I think like he is just, there's so much you don't know about him at the beginning. Like I was just kind of like, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this one, but like then you find out like all the things that he did for her, and I was like blown away. Like he literally defied the War King. And I was so blown away because I'm just like, wow. I was like, you have to be pretty ballsy, like to do that. Not to mention like the fact that he had like all of this like power, like that we didn't even really get into until like we were actually like in the middle of like the, like the retelling like of like all the events like that happened like before Karu. So I really liked him.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. Like, I really love him, and I think especially once you realize that he didn't just raise her in this life, he basically raised her in her previous life as well. And it's just like he's such a father figure. And like I think the favorite like line of the book was when Akiva asked Karu about her first memory, and she said it was playing with Brimstone's tail, and I was just like almost crying. It was so touching to me, just for some reason. Like, he's like the stoic figure, but he's also like a loving father in a sense. So just I love that they also like knew her from basically very young child back in the old life, and the whole team, the Isa, and I don't remember the rest's name, but like all of them like stuck around, and like there was a line Brimstone said, something like, we promised if we were gonna do this, blah blah blah, and just like I like thinking about them talking about it and then taking care of little Karu. Like I think it's adorable.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, is it my turn? I think weirdly, I think Karu's actually my favorite character, and I say weirdly because I never like main characters. I just mostly find them a little bit annoying, and I usually fall in love with supporting characters. So I was so surprised when I was reading this, and I was actually really like connecting with Karu because I think she's very relatable in a sense. Like she has a good sense of humor. She's like, what the hell is even happening? I really like how she really stuck by her family, and even when this hot boy came and he was like, oh, it's because the chimera beast, but like she actually like stood up and she was like, no, you don't understand. Even when she didn't know the story, she didn't know anything about chimera, she didn't know she was a chimera, she knew very little, but she was like loyal to her family, and she didn't just like kind of accept what he's saying. So I just really like her loyalty. I like that she has a sense of humor and like spirit, and I think she's a very strong main character, not in terms of like, oh, like strong, but like just really good point, like person to tell the story, and I know I'm gonna love her even more later, kind of thing.
Yeah. And I also really liked how, even though like Akiva was telling her, no, like the Seraphim are the best thing to ever happen to the world, and the Chimera are basically shit and whatever. And I love how she was just, but well, from our point of view, you enslaved them. So to us, you haven't really been the best thing to happen to this planet. Like, I like how she was just also telling it from the other side.
Yeah, I think she said sorry. No, I think she said literally like a line like, oh, so they didn't want to be oppressed and rebel, so they're the bad guys. And then I was like, oh, yes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right. In the comments, everyone can tell us who their favorite is.
Yeah, we also have a lot of Susanna's, Brimstone, also like Karu, that she's so easy to love, funny, brave,
I was just like flipping, trying to find the quote, and the quote I actually did find was her thinking, oh my god, do I have ghoulish breath when they almost kissed? I like laughed so hard.
Yeah.
It was so funny. Like, mate, that's so relatable because
we
love a goulash, but the breath ain't it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I really like those just like random interjections that are actually like so normal but so abnormal in fantasy, I suppose. I mean,
it kind of takes you out, but in a good way. Like it's really funny, and you can be
yeah,
like,
it's kind of just like you come up for a breath of fresh air or something. At least to me, it feels that way, obviously.
yeah, I guess it depends if you enjoy like a bit of lightheartedness.
Yeah.
It can break the mood sometimes, but yeah.
If it's done in the right time, if like with the right timing, I think it's fine, but it's just like it needs to be carefully timed.
Exactly.
Okay,
Okay, least favorite character. I think we all probably have the same one, but
I think there might be a general consensus here.
Is it Tiago?
I don't know. Would it be?
Oh my god, when the series, I hated him so much. Oh my god, how privileged do you have to be of other people's bodies? It's just like, oh. And like, something I didn't like it, but like, I liked it, but it was sad, whatever. Is that the fact that, you know how Akiva's like mad, so he wants to kill all the Chimera, so he wants to stop them resurrecting. And I like that it wasn't Karoo like breaking the trust and telling him the secret, but it was this ass white wolf person who had to brag about it, and that's how the secret got out. And I like that it wasn't like not her fault, because she was still loyal to her people, even when it was like she could have trusted him, but she kept the secret, and this little weasel just had to go out.
Also, gotta agree with
the sisters.
Yeah,
the sister has no spine, and it's just
she's
all around awful.
She's so ungrateful. I mean,
yeah, that was
to
really
a certain extent, I can get that someone might want to be like of what did they call it, of high human aspect of you know, with a human head. But on the other hand, if someone tries to recreate like your original body for you, I mean, gotta be worth something, right?
Yeah. Oh my god, when I was like reading, you know, that scene when she got resurrected, the sister, and she was like, oh, why'd you make me like that? And she was like, but it's you. And I was like, ooh, this is not gonna end well. I mean, I knew it wasn't gonna, but still, I was like this
just just you go yeah. Despite having read the book like tons of times, I just did not realize that Tiago actually had like a human head. And it was actually like, I have the Illumicrate book here, and this has like the reversible dust jacket. I hope you can see it with like the glaring. And he's like on there. And this made me realize that he has a human head and not a wolf head. And I'm like, how many times have you read this now? By the way, this is gorgeous. Like, we have Akiva and Madrigal there.
Nice. Yeah, I know what you mean. I didn't really like. I always think of him as having a wolf head, but then I googled fan art, and it was like a human with like slightly wolfish features, and I was like,
yeah. I mean,
that's not what I'm imagining.
I never really looked up fan art. I don't even know why, but I never realized, and right now it's just like paying a bit more attention, like critically again, and I was like, huh, he has a human head.
I guess it makes that sense with his high human aspect thingy.
Yeah.
Anyway, Kira, you started saying something.
Yeah, I noticed like that Lala Loves Lit said something about it also. I hate Kaz so much.
Oh, yes.
Like he was such a user. Like, you know, he basically like used her like every chance he got for his. Yeah. He was such a narcissist. Like, he was such a narcissist. Like, he did it to inflate his ego. And I was just like, wow, like, this guy's a total douchebag. Like, no, I hated him so much. I was like, she deserves so much better than this jerk.
Yeah, I would have chucked him off a bridge, honestly.
You know, when she checked him at the door and he broke through the glass door, that was satisfying. I was like,
yes.
Or when she was like itching during the drawing
with
class,
the puppies and everything.
Yeah, he is despicable. I guess. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, I guess I just don't hate him as much, because I kind of see him as like annoying, but like ultimately not as dangerous as Tiago, because Tiago has more like power and stuff, and Kaz is just like background noise, but he is annoying. And that girl that he cheated with, she pissed me off as well. She deserved the eyebrows.
Or I don't know, but also like just the name Svetlana. I mean, it's such a bias, but I just hate that name so much, and I don't even know where it comes from. So I'm sorry if we have any Svetlanas here. I don't hate you, but it's just kind of like the word moist. I can't handle it. For me, it's in the same category, and I'm so sorry, but it's just.
Okay. Abigail said Rasgut is my least favorite. He makes me so uncomfortable. I was gonna actually touch upon him because this book, I don't hate him, but I remember really hating him later on, so I'm sure he's gonna do some shenanigans.
Yeah.
But like, I kind of feel bad for him in this book, just because like, but I'm pretty sure he deserved whatever he got. But like, he's like very, just like, I think the description Lainey Taylor did of him is just really well done, because even the way we're introduced, like how he makes the other guy, I don't remember his name, like just hunch and like get old, and how he licks Karoo at first, but then you also like this pathetic little creature that used to be an angel kind of thing, and like
just when he licked her, I was so grossed out. Just like I was just sitting here, just like cringing, like ugh. Just imagining some unseen tongue touching your neck. I mean, just imagine that. I just. Ugh.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, it's not it, but yeah, and also said she's felt kind of sorry for him. Me too, but I remember hating him, so I don't think we should feel too bad for him.
Like the way he's presented now, you kind of feel sorry for him that this is what he's become. But I really remember also just really hating him in the other books as well. So I'm sure we find out either what he's done or he's going to do something despicable. So yeah, at this point, I do still feel sorry for Rasgut, but I'm pretty sure I won't. That won't be my feeling throughout.
I don't know. Like sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'm sorry, but like I have like if he got thrown out, like I'm just thinking like I'm just like okay, so he would have had to have done something really, really, really bad to get thrown out, and like I don't know, like for some reason or another, like I just don't feel bad for him at all. Like I maybe I'm being like too hard on him or whatever. I don't know. I really hope we find out like whether or not I'm justified like in this or not. But like I just did not feel bad for him because like he could have he had such an opportunity to still be a decent whatever he was, like fallen angel or whatever, and he decided not to be that at all. Like he was decrepit kind of like in his like demeanor, and like he was sinister, and he was like very like hateful. So like for me, like I didn't feel really sympathy at all for him because I feel like he was just nasty and like cruel.
Yeah, I do agree with you that he was very nasty, but on the other hand, that just starts me thinking, okay, well, he was thrown out of Eretz for something he did, which at this point we don't yet know what.
Yeah.
And he's been down there for so long, like with completely shattered legs, his wings torn off. I mean, that's got to do something to, well, not a human, but that's got to do something to a person. So then, is it really such a stretch to imagine he became this way and he didn't stay kind or whatever? I mean, I totally get your point. You're completely right, but it makes me wonder. It makes me think about like, okay, but well, imagine if you're thrown out of your world and you lose everything you know, including your ability to walk and fly. What's that going to do to a person?
Yeah. No, I totally get that. I'm just hoping like that, like later on I don't feel bad for hating him still.
No, I don't think you will. But... I love that none of us remember why, but we all know that we're supposed to hate. Yeah. I think the moment I felt a little bit bad for him was not even... It was just when he thought Akiva was there to like bring him home, and he was like, brother, you're here to bring me home, and he was just so hopeful, and that's why I felt like tiny little bit bad for him, just because like he wants to go home so badly. But like I really think you're gonna be totally justified in your hatred.
Yeah,
vaguely, like, I remember.
I mean, imagine, like I said, if you're just thrown out of well, I'm just not going to call it heaven, but Eretz, and being down on Earth for God knows how long. And then you see a seraphim again, and you're just like, that person can give you the only thing you've ever wanted. So, just...
Yeah. The person I do feel really bad for is that that guy that made the wish to get Rasgut.
Yeah. Yeah, so
Yeah,
I
Abigail,
agree
that's
with
so right.
this. No, yeah,
That was disgusting. He was like,
yeah.
she died so good. I was like,
No, I mean,
yeah.
I don't think anything justifies his behavior, but I mean, it does explain it, maybe,
Yeah.
and why he's become the way he is, but no, it doesn't justify him licking Karoo at all.
Yeah, that was
I
weird.
always have like a bigger sympathy because like there are certain like villains like that you find out like later that they were created and something like happened like to where like they were led like on this path and they kind of spiraled out of control. I always feel really bad for those villains, but like the ones like that are just naturally evil like for no reason, like those are the ones I have no sympathy for.
Same.
I am now so curious why he got kicked out, what he's gonna do. Like, I can't remember anything, but I'm just like so curious now.
Yeah.
But actually, sorry, go.
I was just going to say, I think I'm not sure whether we find out in the second or in the third book. I'm sure we find out, but I'm not sure which one.
Something. Yeah, at least something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just gonna say that, you know, the guy that was carrying him, I think Isil or something along those lines. Like, I really like think that was super interesting character because the way that Karoo explained him beforehand, how he was this charismatic, nice guy that always brought like trinkets and stuff, and then he wanted to have this knowledge. And I find it really fascinating that a wish for knowledge gave him Rasgut, because clearly he doesn't know everything, because I'm about 90% sure he said he doesn't know what Brimstone does with the teeth. So like, because he was like, oh, to Akiva, I think he was like, oh, you know what he does with the teeth. But I was like, surely if you ask for being all-knowing and you're giving this creature should know everything. So I was a bit confused there, but maybe we get explanation. But like, I think the fact that he'd rather like his life was nasty anyway, but I think the fact that he'd rather like jump than gave up Karoo showed like flashes of that man he used to be, like the charismatic, kind person. And I just feel so bad for him, but at the same time, I guess what happened was better than carrying this burden that he just hated so much, and his life just turned into like complete like disaster. Like he had to root graves. Like that's not a good job to have, you know.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but on the other hand, it's also said that the wishes are very specific in their wording. So if he just asked for knowledge and not like unending knowledge or something, or not being all-knowing, then in that sense he got what he wished for.
Yeah, I guess he probably knows a lot more than like an average person.
Exactly.
Like about
so,
angels.
That's just what, like she said, like you just have to be very careful in your wording, especially with like the higher end wishes. So like the Bruxes and everything. Because you never know what you're going to get, essentially. So you have to be very specific in asking what you want, kind of with like dealing with fae and fairies.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. Like, I'm really curious in the next books when we read, like, to learn a bit more how the magic works, because like we know how they make the bodies, so they take the teeth, and depending on how the teeth are configured, that's what you're getting, and the pain is what fuels magic. But then like, are the wishes like a completely separate thing, or do you need teeth to make wishes? I don't think you do, right? Like wishes are separate.
If you want a Bruxis, which I think is like the largest wish, I think, or was it the Gavriel? No, I think the Bruxis was the biggest wish.
I think Gavriel might have.
Pull your own teeth out.
Yeah.
To pay for it, essentially, but I'm not sure how the other ones work.
Yeah.
But
I think all of them, the teeth like have pain with them because of the people who died, but like if you pull them out yourself, it's like extra painful or something.
Yeah.
But
I think like a sorcerer. I think Brimstone made them, like he made the scuppies because he just kept restocking the teacups. So I think you just need to provide the pain for wishes, and I think then the sorcerer, in this case Brimstone, would create them.
Yeah, I guess I was just like thinking to myself, so he uses the teeth and the pain from the teeth to make the bodies, but then does he just like put some away for the wishes? But I guess that's what he does because he needs people to bring the teeth, so I guess he needs some wishes to like pay for it, kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone said Gavriel was the biggest. I think so too.
Yeah, possibly. I don't know. I know like Bruxis and Gavriel are the biggest ones, but I'm never sure which one's like actually the biggest.
Yeah. Is there anything else you guys wanted us to mention or talk about in the comments, or you guys wanted to talk about either way? Okay. Sorry, Lara said, how does one get into the teeth trading business really? But
Yeah.
you gotta be desperate. That's a very good question. You know how some of those people are not even like creeps, but like for example that grandma. How does a grandma get into like teeth stealing and pulling and selling like the woman that was pretending to be a grandma? I mean,
Yeah.
like
I
how
don't
does
even know. Depends on your connections, I suppose.
I wonder if like this is like the epitome of like the black market, but like the teeth black market.
Yeah. I guess you have to find out about this like weird creatures that like takes sells wishes or whatever. Like how does one start this conversation? Right? How did the granny get there? That's my thoughts exactly.
Yeah.
Everyone I understand, but the granny. I was actually surprised that we didn't see her. I think we see her in the later books, like actually come up in person, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure she's called Esther.
Yeah,
I don't
I think
even know.
so.
Super random thing. Like, I don't remember anything, but I do remember her name, which is probably.
Yeah, I
because-
think she's actually a character later on. I'm not sure.
Yeah, she's definitely a character because at some point, I think Carew stays with her, and because she's in Belgium, then I remember because it's just so close to where I live. So
you might be right. I do know. Yeah, she shows up. Someone said.
yeah,
Good to know. Yeah, I do remember her quite vividly. So.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Is there anything else you guys were like thinking of, or any scene you wanted to talk about? Just looking through the book.
I want to kind of like talk about like the end, like a little bit, because I feel like that's like Akiva. Oh, I can't believe Akiva did all that, man. Like they were vibing like so well like before all that, and all of a sudden like he like had this revelation, and he was just like, oh shit,
Yeah.
I just screwed everything up, like everything that and I was just like, no. I was like, this is where we're leaving this, right? We're leaving me here with this, not knowing what's gonna happen next.
Yeah, I could just basically see him go like, "Oh man," just basically like that. Yeah, there's definitely that point. It's still a sore spot for me.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I know what you mean.
And then like my brain was screaming like, no, not Brimstone. Anybody but Brimstone. Why couldn't you have taken Kaz? Like he was messing with you guys too. Just take him.
Yeah. We'll give you him on a platter. You can get him with like extra bacon on the side. No problem.
Right?
Yeah.
I know. And she was like she got her memory and she was like about to go to him like, hi lover, and he's like, so awkward, but I just murdered your whole family.
Like,
holy crap.
How does a relationship come back from that?
I know. Oh my god. I kind of forgot. So I was like thinking, because he kept thinking to himself, like, once she finds out what I did, blah blah. And I thought for some reason that he did, like I didn't really connect the dots that he meant the door and all that. So I was just like, what did you know? So bad. And then I was like, oh shit. That's awkward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I also I mean, it's not really something to like, but I also think it's so well done that you just keep having hope that they're still alive, and then just that final line of the book that like they're all dead just breaks you, and you just go like, well, that's not cool.
I'm not gonna lie, I still hope they're not dead, but I don't remember if they are, so
yeah, exactly. This is me, but except I knew that it was that bad, and it's just
I know, you're like, holy crap. And then like when she goes up for her first good, it's just like what's like, because she thinks everyone's dead, so there's like nothing waiting for her there, but I guess she just needs to like find out for herself. This is why I love Carew, like she's got some strength of character, because I'd be like, fuck me then, like I don't want to see that.
Yeah.
Oh, book 2 is agony, Lana said. I know and believe you, and I cannot wait. I was like about to start book 2 as soon as I finished book 1, but because we're having a live show in a month, I was gonna forget everything, so I just decided to wait, but it's hard.
So what you're really saying is I need to make sure that I have a bunch of happy reads to read in between and during, like, well, like maybe like read like the other book with another thing like that says like that makes me happy, so that I don't get super sad during the
Yeah.
I think the second book, I think it's actually my personal favorite of the 3, but it's definitely a pretty heavy book to read in the sense it gets pretty dark emotionally. Like, without spoilers or anything, but just it's pretty I don't know words.
Yeah, it does get like very dark and goes to some like dark places, and not a happy story from what I remember.
No,
at least because the second and third kind of blended my mind as one, but like
okay, I'm gonna make sure I have some really good romance novels like set off to the side for next month that I've been saving.
I do not think that Laini Taylor does like happy. Like, so far what I've read, I've been destroyed every time. It's just like
no, like, oh my god, I'm not gonna even get into the end of Strange the Dreamer because like this is not a spoilers for that, but oh my god.
Like the first book, because I only read the first, I was like, no. And it just kept like, no. It was like, what?
Like, where's the rest of it?
I was just like, how evil are you to finish like this?
Yeah, I was so upset by the end of like the first book that I just bought the second book. Like the minute I saw it in stores, even though I had 3 other copies on pre-order, and I just read it in one go. Which, like, Laini Taylor books are not easy to binge read.
No,
they're not. And I remember also reading it on my iPad, and I just dropped the iPad on my face at a like particularly painful spot in the second book. And Esme asked me, like, "Are you okay?" And I just go like, "No." You just hear me like very pitifully, like, "No." I mean, there's a vlog somewhere with this, but no.
I still need to read it. I was a bit like, I can't. I know it's gonna be pain, and I don't want it. Like, I'm in that mood. I'm like, I don't want to be hurt. So that's me. It's
not just pain, though.
I don't see how it can be not
pain, but it's also, I also think it's a really good ending to the duology in this case. I was going to say trilogy, but it's a duology.
Yeah. I'm gonna buy, because I bought it on the ebook, but I think I'm gonna buy physical copies because I need them, and like maybe read the first one and then get into the second one right after.
Yeah.
And like, I need her to write the next book. Like, she's writing it right now, and I need it.
For Strange the Dreamer?
No, for just Laini Taylor.
Okay.
I don't know what it's gonna be, but I'm sure it's gonna be brilliant.
It's going to be adult, and it's going to be spicier than anything she's ever written. That's all I know.
Bring on the spice.
We are ready, Laini Taylor.
Yeah.
I'm really interested about this spice that we're talking about, like, though, because like I'm just like what fantastical world is she gonna like spice up for us?
I'll be right back. Just a second.
It's like Akatar, but flowery. Oh man, I am ready.
I hope it's like not too long.
I know, because she's not even said the plot technically yet. I think just like very
we probably got at least a good another year and a half.
Yeah.
I mean, I know it's art, so she needs time, but like,
yeah, this is like, from a very, selfish point of view, this is the thing I hate most about Laini Taylor's books. Because I mean, we got these in 2011, 12, and 14, and I remember the wait for the third book was like agony, and then I had to wait for Strange, and it was supposed to come out like a year before it actually came out because it was delayed because she needed more time to write. And I mean, her books are phenomenal, and I'll gladly wait for them, but it's just like actually the waiting part is just agony.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not like Brandon Sanderson, who's just like,
yeah. Or
Victoria Bob. He writes so quick that I can't even read that quick, so I'm just like, maybe it's better this way.
Yeah, he's coming out like with his third book, I think, like towards the end of the year for his Starsight. Yeah, Starsight trilogy. Like, and I heard, like, well, he skipped last year because he was doing like one once a year, but last year he had these fourth book in the Stormlight Archives come out. And I'm like, I really want to read those, but like the agony of waiting for like the next 6 books to come out like every other year, like it's gonna be another 12 years before we get those books. And I'm like,
whoa, they're gonna have so many books in the series? I thought it was a trilogy.
They're supposed to have 10 books in the Stormlight Archives.
Okay. This is the thing with him. There's so many books.
I know. And we're still waiting. So there was an era 2 of Mistborn, and we're still waiting on that 4th book. And it's like, when's that coming? Because I really want to read those too. They're supposed to be like more modern than the original trilogy for the Mistborn. And I loved that series. Like that series was, the ending put me in a fantasy slump. I could only read.
I'm reading it right now. I'm reading the last book right now.
Yes.
And it's really good so far. Oh man, but like I love his books, but every series has like at least 6 books, and then they all like almost 1,000 pages or something. Like my audiobook for like the first book in his other series is like 45 hours long. I'm gonna read that for like months. I can't listen that much. It's just insane. I can tell you. Oh, The Way of Kings. That's the one I'm talking about.
Yep, that's the first one.
45 and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like this is the only reason I've only read Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. I haven't read anything else because everything is either a gazillion books or not finished.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's painful.
Well, but like the one thing I will say about Brandon Sanderson that I really appreciate is like he writes every book like a standalone. So like it satisfies you and you don't know like what's going to happen. Now I will say like he didn't do that like with Skyward, the first Skyward, like he kind of like that was like more of a cliffhanger that I'm used to seeing him, do. But like his Elantris, you could read that like a standalone. Like I don't know what to expect like for like how he's going to continue on with it, but like that was the first book I read by him, and it's absolutely one of my favorites by him. Right. I love like every magic system he has is like so epically different. And then you also have what was it? Warbreaker. Yeah, Warbreaker. And that one has a completely like different like also like a completely like different magic system, but like it's the Cosmere. So like all of these magic systems exist in this world somewhere. And I don't know like that they've actually discussed like how they all connect. So it's very like there's so many like magical systems like in this world. It's so great.
Yeah, I think I do want to eventually get through all of them, but just because it sounds so epic and like such big vision. But like I don't know, for like I only read Mistborn from him. So the first book I really loved all of it, but I think and second book I also loved, but especially the ending. And I think he's really good at like ramping it up so much for the last like 10, 15, 20% that you just have to keep reading, and then you have to read the next one. And he's really, really good at that. Like the rest will be slow as hell, but then the ending will be so good.
That's what I also had with Skyward. Except Skyward is probably still a bit more fast-paced because it is YA. But like I really like the first, like just say 25%, and then like the middle 50%. I mean, I liked it, but I felt it was dragging a bit. It could have been a bit shorter because it was just a lot of the same. And then I loved the last 15%.
I think he does that kind of with his books. Like the middle is slow and the middle is like a 600 pages. Yeah. But it's all worth it when
it's so worth it.
I mean, my favorite character of Skyward is like the thing called Doomslug, which is like a galactic snail, and it really doesn't do a lot, but I love it. I think, let me see, where is it?
That sounds weird.
I've been so tempted, but Brandon Sanderson has a Doomslug t-shirt. Yes, I love it.
Look at that. Isn't that adorable?
Yes.
He's got a Doomslug t-shirt like on his store. His like actual Brandon Sanderson store. I've been like drooling like over it. I'm like, oh my god, they got Doomslug.
Oh, that's so cute. And I just love that there's like a sentient spaceship that's programmed to collect fungus, like mushrooms.
Yes.
Like it's so random, but I love it so much. It just keeps going on about mushrooms and different types of mushrooms. It's brilliant. It's so random, but
yeah, that reminds me of Sazed going all about his religions.
I love Sazed.
Yeah, I love him too. He's really good.
He was my favorite character throughout the entire 3 books. I love him.
I would agree with that. He's really, really good really good character.
Yes. So
okay,
good.
so should we just maybe wrap this up and then
Yeah,
stop
people seem
being
to be.
live because they seem to be drifting
We're
off.
like, okay, Brandon Sanderson, no.
Yeah,
We switched.
Next read along.
yeah.
I would reread Mistborn in a second. Like I just have to be prepared for the very big slump I'm going to go through after I'm done reading it.
Yeah.
Now I'm scared. I still have like half of the book
Listen,
left.
it's okay if you go through a slump after like this because it's that good and you will like cherish like the ending. I'm telling you.
Oh, I'm ready. It's really good so far. Like this one hasn't had that like lull of kind of being slow, at least to me. Like I'm still enjoying every bit of it.
Yes.
And it's really, really good. But you know how Becca's from Becca's Books, she's hosting like a really big Brandon Sanderson read along.
Mm-hmm.
And they're reading like book a month and they're all like so big. I'm like, man, how do you have time
I know, right?
I can barely keep up with my like TBR as it is, but kudos. Honestly.
Yeah, I just put 16 books on my TBR and then proceed to read maybe 6 of them. So
yeah,
it's like at least I have options.
I was averaging like last year. I was averaging like a bit like about 12 books a month. Like I'm lucky if I've read 7 like per month. Like this year, I'm still kind of keeping up with my goal, which I'm still. So I'm like whatever. But like my reading slip has been like awful. Like I need to do something. Like
same. I've been also writing my master's thesis, and it's just draining my entire life away, just everything. And it's just I'll either read like 20 books in a month or nothing at all.
Yeah,
that's where I'm at. So
yeah.
I'm
going like 11 a month, but that happened last year, and then I took like a massive dive. So we'll see. We'll see how we go.
Okay, I might just sit down and like binge read some manga because like I'm very behind on my manga, like, and I'll just like binge read that and like that'll help me like with my reading goal. But I'll feel accomplished. I'll feel like I got something done.
So some final thoughts on Daughter of Smoke and Bone, or some anticipation for the second one, maybe.
I am excited for the pain and the struggle.
Isn't that a mood?
Yep.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah. I have this is the Illumicrate edition, so this is basically the UK anniversary version, but in hardback. And the other 2 should arrive in April, but with current mail and everything.
Yes, we need this.
We should maybe petition it to Lainey, like
bring him to us.
Just send her an email. But yeah, I just hope those arrive. I mean, I have more regardless. They're like right here. But I mean, I just want to read my new copies. But yeah, I've
been tabbing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh wow, that's a lot of tabs.
Yeah, I have no system, but
I don't do tabs or annotations. I mean, it's all in here.
Fair. No, I normally don't, but I really wanted for this one. But halfway through, I mixed up 2 colors, and then I had to fix it. I was like, "Damn it!"
See, I don't like. I just like everything's like random. Like if I like full paragraphs, I use wider tabs. Like, and then like if there's particular like excerpts, like I use the thinner tabs.
Wow, I just have 1 type, so it was like this is what we're having. I was like plot, funny things, and like sad things and romance. So it's mostly.
So I think we will announce the new live dates for next month. So I think you should be looking out for live reading sprints again somewhere halfway through the month, and the live show again at the end. Am I forgetting anything?
I don't think so.
Oh, we're going to be doing another reading sprint next month. So
I think so.
Yes. Yeah, we're gonna probably. We don't know whose channel yet, but just keep on Twitter.
This wasn't supposed to be on my channel either, but I mean, it's fine. Last minute changes.
Yeah, and hopefully for the sprints, once session Zoe are there, they can tell us what they thought. I mean, we know Zoe loves it. She's read it like 50,000 times. But I wonder what about Sasha? What did she think?
Yeah, exactly. So look out for those dates. We will announce those on Twitter, on the official Daughter of Smoke and Bone read along account, and I suppose all of us will just share it as well.
Yes.
So,
And thank you for coming, right?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah,
thank
you
you
guys
for
are the
watching.
best. Always commenting.
And
Feels like we're not talking to a void.
No. We will see you next time, I suppose. So I'm
Yes.
clicking
Thanks so much.
end
Thank you.
broadcast now.